Today's video is very different because I found out there's a large number of people who watch my YouTube shorts in particular, but my videos as well, as a percentage, who are using these videos for English as a second language. So for English language listening practice. So for you guys, I have made an English listening practice strategies video. So I'm going to go through as a foreign language person. I knew multiple foreign languages before I was 18. I knew French, German, obviously English, and I knew American Sign Language all before I was 18. And German I was not fluent in, but I was in German 4, and so I had a reasonable amount of fluency. I would have been fluent if I had spent more time in Germany because I was picking it up really quick when I went to Germany for a week. But I also taught English as a second language, or English for language learners, or whatever they call it now. But I taught that for a couple of years as well. So and I hosted foreign exchange students for 6 years. And so I have some tips that will really help you if you're trying to learn English. And I know I'm speaking quickly, but there's a reason for this, and I will be talking about it right now. So first of all, a tip for learning English, American English in particular, is we use a lot of acronyms. So you'll see that in texting, be right back, BRB. Even we had a television show, MASH, Mobile Army Surgical Unit. We use, especially in our government, the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. We use acronyms for everything. I'm sure this exists in other languages, but pay attention and try to think to yourself when you see a series of letters, because now usually there's periods between them, but now people don't even do that anymore. So if something looks kind of nonsensical, you're probably looking at an acronym, and just Google it. Slang. Slang is very important in foreign languages. When I was in high school, I was planning on studying, like moving to France to study. I got accepted to the American University of Paris, and I had a host family over there because I'd been an exchange student for a month, and I was going to move there. And so I actually had 2 full books that I studied on French slang, and it was like the grammar, the structure, the syntax, all of it. It was phenomenal. But I don't know if there's anything like that for American English right now. The big thing for slang in English, I would suggest to someone trying to learn our language, is we drop our ing endings in general. Pay attention to how our auxiliary verbs are kind of crushed. And the ing either becomes in or na. So I'm gonna go, instead of I am going to go, I'm gonna go. So when it's auxiliary, it turns into like an NA. But if it's at the end of a word, at the end of the verb, you going, it becomes IN instead of ING. You going? You going? Notice how we drop the question word, the R. Are you going? Becomes you going? Next, you cannot separate a culture from its language. I used to tell this to my Chinese exchange students all the time. Stop trying to learn English by staring at videos and reading books. You have to interact with native English speakers. You have to do it, because so much of our language grows out of our culture, because words are born of necessity. So words come about because we need to describe or say or do something. And so if you're not interacting with the culture, you're not going to fully learn the language and be able to communicate in a way that people can understand well. Don't be afraid to speak. I know how hard it is. I'm learning another language right now. I'm learning Spanish. And at first, it was really hard for me to try to speak Spanish with people knowing my accent was so terrible, because I wanted to sound pretty like them, and I didn't. And that's okay. Fumble through it. Find someone who is a native English speaker and talk to them. Tell them about things, describe things, find an area of interest. Read a book out loud if you need to. Here's some tips for learning a foreign language. So here's number 3. Practice transcribing or writing a sentence or look at the transcript of videos and then write it out in proper English. So, for example, go into the transcript of this video. If you click on the description and the little down arrow and go down, it'll show you show transcript. And you can go on a minute by minute or second by second, actually, it's like every 2 seconds. It will show a new line. Just pause the video, write out what it says, and then write it out in the proper English. So earlier I said, you gonna go? Or are you going? Well, it's probably gonna put, are you gone? G-O-N-E, are you gone? As opposed to, are you going? But either way, it's supposed to be, are you going? So you would write down, you going? You gone? G-O-N-E. And then underneath you would write, are you going? And you combine them. This is what I did in the French to learn the French slang, to understand how people actually talk. So when you interact, you're listening, you're developing the correct ear. So note the words that we omit, the nuances of our pronunciation in context, like I said, with the ing ending, how it's different when it's an auxiliary verb versus when it's the final verb. I don't know what it's called, the gerund probably. And words that we smash together, words that we leave out. And look through some of the videos. You can watch news to get like a really good ear for proper English. And then go on to YouTube videos of various topics, things that you're interested in. And if you would like to have things on specific topics, put it in the comments below, and I will post videos specifically for English language learners on those topics. But words that you smash together. Number 4, avoid easy readers or kids' books. This is a big mistake that I made when I was trying to learn French and German, is I would try to read what I thought to be an easier book. The problem is children's books have a lot of nonsensical words or child words. So like in English, we might have daddy or nana or mama or papa. Words that are not generally used outside of a family situation. If you went up and said, where's your nana? Well, we would know what you meant, but you would sound really ridiculous. If you would need to say, where's your grandma? Now, you wouldn't say, where's your grandmother? That would sound too formal. That's why it's important to be around other people who speak the language. But if you said, where's your grandma? That would be a proper way to ask a question. If you said, where's your nana, or where's your mimi, or where's your mama, or what, we don't all use those kinds of words. And the people who do have very specific words for each person. That's why it's so important to avoid easy readers and instead try to find books that are probably around the 5th or 6th grade level or higher. So if you want specific English help, put it in the comments below. Share with me. Please feel free to share and like this into groups of English language learners, because I'd like to connect with people and find out what would be helpful and give you some more tips on learning foreign languages. If you'd like to know some of the tips that I used for learning American Sign Language. Remember, American Sign Language is different from British, is different from Canadian, is different from Scottish, is different from French. It's not a universal language of all deaf people. But if you would like to have, that's that cultural thing. If you'd like to have like tips that I use to learn sign language, American Sign Language, or to learn French, I would be happy to share those as well. So put those questions in the comments below, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.